Well, good morning. Thank you guys for staying around. For those of you who want a little more info about athletics, sorry, I know that's kind of distracting going on behind me. That's really cool. Actually, Mr. Palmisano did that for us a little bit ago, so thank you. But want to go through again, so just some more details as far as athletics and what that looks like, especially at the high school varsity rhetoric school level, because obviously much more in depth. There's a lot more moving pieces. We have a governing body that oversees us, CIF, which is the California Interscholastic Federation, which really just means it's official. It's for real. And this is something that we're a part of. One big thing that we always talk about is ensuring that for athletics, we're able to reach the entire gap, like the entire spectrum, from students who maybe they're just doing this because they want to participate in sports and they like it, and you heard all of the good things, even from some of our house captains as far as why they do athletics. But then also all the way to the other side for those who want to play at the next level, for those who want to do that. And we've been able to serve the whole population in that context. But when we're talking about athletics, I just want to go through a few things, give kind of the background and the philosophy of why we do what we do, and then hopefully get through some details that help you as parents plan and prepare for athletics at the next level, for the high school level. So we're going to just do this quickly in four parts. The first part we're going to talk about is why athletics. Why do we do athletics? When we talk about classical education, I think the first thing that comes to our mind when we talk about classical education isn't always athletics. It's usually the discipline of the mind. When you think of athletics, or when you think of classical education, you think of Socrates, or you think of people sitting around in a circle discussing great ideas. And we don't always first think of basketball or football or something like that. So I want to answer that question of why athletics even at a classical Christian school. Secondly, our vision for athletics and why we're doing what we're doing, kind of even the how we're doing what we're doing. For you as parents, and how to stay informed, and then hopefully we still have a little bit of time for some Q&A at the end. So why athletics? When we talk about why athletics, we realize that athletics becomes the arena where one learns not to just train the mind. You heard me mention that before, but also the body, right? We are not just minds, but we are bodies as well. And so being a part of a sport, being an athlete, continues to help us learn what it means to train our bodies in such a way that it fits with how we're training our minds. Right? We read this in 1 Timothy chapter 4. Have nothing to do with irreverent, silly myths. Rather, train, right? That's a physical sense. Train yourself for godliness. Paul continues and he says, for while bodily training is of some value, right? So even Paul says it's of some value. Godliness is of value in every way, as it holds promise for the present life and also for the life to come. So we want to train both our minds and our bodies in all that we do, because that helps us be the well-rounded individual, right? The well-rounded person. Even for those who may not continue on, which statistics show is the majority, will not continue past high school and continue in athletics. It's something that they may just do their high school career. So we want to make sure we know and understand why they would still do it, why we would have them be a part of it. And it's because we want them to have the disciplined mind, but also have the disciplined body to go alongside it. One without the other will not serve them well. Right? General Douglas MacArthur says this, upon the fields of friendly strife are sown the seeds that upon other fields on other days will bear the fruits of victory. I think one of the things that makes our athletics program so successful, it's not the teams necessarily that we have or the uniforms that we wear, as nice as we want those to look, and all of those types of things. There's two things that make our athletics program successful. First is a group of people that I have sitting over here, and that's our coaches. We have an incredible coaching staff that, I'll just tell you, whenever we look for coaches, just like when we look for our faculty is what makes our school. And the same way our coaches are what makes our athletics program. And when we look for coaches, there are two key things from the ground that I'm always looking for when we find coaches. And it's someone who knows and loves their sport. If you go talk to any single one of them, any one of them will want to talk to you forever about football or baseball or cheer or soccer, whatever it might be. But on the other side, they also know and love Christ. Because these are the ones that are probably going to spend more individual time with your students than really any of our other faculty sometimes. These are where they spend their time outside of the classroom, where they learn life lessons, where they're challenged, again, with their bodies, how to discipline their bodies, and not just their minds. So we realize this, that anytime we talk about it, we say, how do we know we're going to be successful? Sometimes we say, we know it might not fully show until 10, 15, 20 years from now. Because how have we disciplined them? How have we taught them to train their bodies in such a way that it fits the training of their mind so that they can honor and serve Christ in all that they do? It's something that is a future hope that we know that we are sowing the seeds for even now. So what does that look like as far as for us, for our athletics vision? What does that look like for our athletics vision? You guys may have seen this, but this is that's really, really tiny. Okay, but let me read it for you. The Trinity Athletics program is guided by a commitment to excellence, embodying a set of Christ-like core values. The core values are integrity, camaraderie, and victory. It's imperative that these three elements are prioritized as integral parts of our athletic department. We're to have integrity while competing so that we may be above reproach in all things. We are to have camaraderie as we fellowship with all believers. And athletes are truly victorious in the literal sense of working towards a goal in competition while realizing that one is truly victorious when they prepare and play to the best of their ability in such a way that honors and glorifies the Lord. As we have the long-term vision in mind for these students and for our student athletes. Oftentimes we talk about what does it mean to be successful. And really, it's something that we have to ask ourselves when we embark on anything, right? What does it mean for me to be successful in this arena? So for us, when we talk about what does it mean for us to be successful as a program, right, as a football team, as a soccer team, as whatever that might be, but more importantly, even as an individual, right, for someone who participates on that team. And we know that there are two things that we can control. There are two things for us as individuals that we can control: attitude and effort. I can't control the outcome of the game. I can't control what the other team does. I can't control what the refs do or whether or not I agree with them, even though a lot of times it seems like we disagree with them, right? But I can control my attitude, my effort, my preparation, everything that I have done, and that is the best, and I think that's what the Lord calls us to in anything that we pursue, right? In any arena that we pursue. And so in that sense, I always say that we have an uncompromising vision, that we realize that those are the three key elements for athletics and for our teams. I want to share with you one of my favorite quotes. This is on our door if you come by our office. It's from Theodore Roosevelt. It's from a speech he gave called Citizenship in a Republic when he was in Paris after he was president. And he says this. He was a huge fan of athletics. What he would say were, at the time, the manly sports, right? He was a boxer and some of these different things. But this is what he says about athletics. And I can't help but think of ESPN and First Take or any of those, if you listen to sports talk radio, whenever I read this quote. And he says this: "It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly. So that is his place, shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat." That's what we want for our students. We don't want them to be the ones that sit back and just critique everyone else, whether that's even outside of athletics, but culture, critique other things. We want them involved. We want them to be a part of the change, part of the process, involved in people's lives, in relationships, and not just something that they sit back and critique others on who they are, how they're living. But they are in it. They have sweat and blood and tears because, as we know, that's what life is. But we want them to experience that wholeheartedly as best we can at the high school level. And I believe that athletics is one of the key places that they can experience that. In theological senses, we always talk about the difference between what we call orthodoxy and orthopraxy, right? If you think of the etymology of those words, like orthodontic or orthopedic or anything like that, what it means is orthodoxy is what we believe or right belief, right? Believing rightly. So in theology, obviously, we want to believe the right things. And so a lot of times I say that's what we do in the classroom, right? We train our minds. It's that same idea. Versus instead of orthodoxy, we talk about orthopraxy, right living. What does it mean to live rightly? And I think one of the ways that that gets fleshed out for our high school students who are struggling with a lot of different things, right? There's going to be a lot of different cultural pressures and things that come, even here, even in this context. And athletics is one of the ways that they get to work that out. What does it mean to live rightly? How do I respond when I lose that close game? How do I respond when my friend takes my starting position? How do I respond when I've been working so hard and I blow out my knee? How do I respond? What do I do? What's my response going to be? What does that look like? These are the things that we want our students to be able to be challenged with and go to. Now, what I love about in this context is while we have a vision for the whole person and the whole student athlete, we still have been able to have quite a few who go and play at the next level. You'll see a few pictures, if you can notice some of them, but these are just some of our more recent ones. But the national average for those that in high school that continue and go on to play to college is about 7%. Pretty low if you think about it, but even then, think about even in our greater context of our community, even at the bigger public schools, it's usually about 7, sometimes even lower, depending on what sport you're looking at. Sports that everyone play, like basketball, it's usually even a little bit lower, 3.5% that go on from high school to college. But even with this in mind, we've been able to have quite a few students go and play at the next level. So you'll see up there Noah Peterson, Jessica Eblin, she played Division I at Siena College. We even have a student, like Dustin Kua. We don't really have a tennis team, but he still participated in tennis and represented Trinity in CIF competition. So sometimes if there's a student, especially in the individual sports, that does a sport that we don't offer, a lot of times we'll work with you and work with your family in order to have them still be able to compete and be a part and represent our school. Ryan Damaris, who played up in North Dakota, and now actually he's moving. What's the school he's at now? Harding. Yeah, Harding in Colorado. Or Arkansas, that's right, thank you. Ben Wexler, so then you see some of our current seniors. We have Ben Wexler, who's going to go play soccer at Walla Walla. Hannah Cato, who's going to Life Pacific. Shane, who's going to go run at the Air Force Academy. And Emma Leathers, who's going to swim at Westmont. And so we're excited that even at a small school, again, right, I try to give you the initial stuff because realizing that it's a full picture, right? For some of you, you might be like, I don't think my son or daughter is going to play in college. Like, that's not our goal. But I want you to know that athletics is still a part for them, and it's an invaluable part for their education here at Trinity. But then for those of you who are interested in saying, yeah, we really want to play at that next level, that we have the coaching staff and we have the things in place that can help them do that if that's a goal for them, if that's something that they want to do. All right, we talked about this a little bit as far as defining success. So what I want to look at is how do you stay informed? What does that look like for Trinity? Now, as I've said, for physical education requirement in high school, all our students are asked to participate in athletics in some fashion. Now, basically, they have to participate in 4 seasons of sport. So I've had some that do 3 their freshman year and 1 their sophomore year, and they're done. And you can do that. The reason that we have it in place, again, when you remember what Michael Boulos and even some of those had said, I did something I never thought I could do, and here was the great benefit to that. What I would encourage you as parents and as you work through this with your son or daughter is thinking through, choose at least a sport that you're going to commit to for 4 years. It's something that they can participate with their friends and something that they can learn, again, how to discipline their bodies in this specific way. We do encourage a lot of students, if they so choose, to do multiple sports. But even if you're going to choose one, find one. find one that you can commit to and that you can devote yourself to, and you can become that 4-year letterman as you're a part of it. That would be our encouragement as far as what it looks like for a physical education requirement. We do have some other avenues, like again, we have the Dustin Kuas of the world, or different people that, if you want to pursue outside endeavors, typically those are few and far between as far as what we're able to approve and what fit. Again, part of it is that we believe that a lot of what you can get here at Trinity and through Trinity Athletics is what we want you to experience, we want our students to experience. But in order to stay informed and all the details or any other questions that you might have, you can go to our website, trinityunites.net. There's even a mobile app called Sports Engine that you can download, but this is where you're going to register. Calendars are on there of what offerings do we have, any details as far as when practices are going to be, who's the coach, anything that you might have, any of the details that you might want to know, it's all available there. One thing that I do want to make you aware of, a lot of times people will notice that once you get to high school sports, it costs more. It definitely costs more than our grammar and logic school levels, some sports being as high as around $1,000 to participate in. And depending on where you're at, one opportunity that I highly encourage you to take part of, this is fairly new for us, and a lot of families aren't as familiar with it, but I have some sheets up here. This is a part of how you can support our Trinity Athletics Booster Club. And specifically, the way that we've formatted it is a way that you can support our booster club while also helping yourself, while helping your student and paying for your registration fees. So the way that works is, you may have seen we have athletics programs that go out for our varsity teams that Mr. Cato has designed. And so it's a great way to showcase our teams and our coaches and our programs each season in which we make it. But a part of that, there are some ads that we sell, and that kind of helps support our athletics programs. But what we say is, for you as a parent, for you as a family, I would encourage you even to have your son or daughter do this if this is something that they're interested in. But if you sell an ad, you as the family can keep 50% of that ad sale. So a full-page ad is $1,000 for a local business or someone to purchase. But if that ad gets sold for $1,000, you get to keep $500 towards your athletics fee. And that's something that can go directly to their fee. So if you're participating in soccer or something like that, that I think is around $575, you just covered majority of your cost right there by one ad sale. Or if you're doing something like football or cheer, that's a little bit more. Okay, you sell 2 ads or 3, 4, few ads. That's a way that you can cover your fees completely. And again, help kind of meet you in that place where understanding that it's expensive. It gets pricey. But at the same time, the sports are expensive for us to put on. So we want to make sure that we're covering our costs and being good stewards in that sense. Okay. One other announcement that I want to make, this is also something that we've kind of been doing with our football team, but that is new, is we're announcing a partnership with Santa Clarita Sports Performance. Some of you maybe have done some training there, or one of our football coaches, Coach Gordon. He and his wife, Avneet Gordon, who does our theater program, they actually own this. We're going to be doing an exclusive partnership where basically Monday through Friday mornings we'll be doing our strength and conditioning training for all our athletes there. And this is going to be something that's available year-round. And so with this unique partnership, we're going to be able to have our student athletes train. And so again, the strength and conditioning piece is just that, strength and conditioning. It's injury prevention. It is strength building. It's continuing to help our programs be successful while at the same time protecting our student athletes and what they're doing. Training their bodies again, right? Training their bodies specifically so that they can perform at a high level as best they can. These will be Monday through Friday mornings, and we'll work through schedules and all that type of stuff, so you'll get that information as it comes. But just wanted to make you aware that's something that we're particularly excited about and something that we're looking forward to really take our athletics programs to the next level in everything that they're doing. So with all that being said, sorry if I was like a fire hose shooting all of that at you, but we have chapel in 10 minutes. So I felt the need to make sure I wanted to get all that to you. But I did want to have a few moments for Q&A, and specifically if there are any general questions, and then also want to make sure some of our coaches came. So we have Mr. Aguilar, he's our Assistant Director of Athletics and also one of our assistant coaches for varsity baseball. Danny Gage, who's our varsity cheer coach, Coach Les Robinson, who's for varsity football. And then we also have here, if you want, I can go introduce you, but they had other duties that they had to take care of. And Coach Kinley Kane, who's our varsity girls soccer coach, Coach Mike Franchimoni, who's our varsity baseball coach, and then we also have Coach Rebecca Palufo, who's our varsity girls volleyball coach. So if there are any general questions, and then Coach Mike Leathers for swim. You had your dad hat on, except you actually have a swim hat on. So you have a hat on. But yes, I was thinking as a parent. But yes, also Coach Mike Leathers, varsity co-ed swim. Okay. Yes.